Hello, Kelly Bear here, and I am recording pretty much straight off the back of the winter wardrobe tarot tag that I would have put up a couple of days, probably a couple of days before this one goes up. So I'm just filming them back to back while I have the spoons. I had to like put the curtain up because it's very. Can you see how bright it is? So it was just, yeah, it was messing with the camera settings, so I've just had to do that. And I am finally tackling the All About Tarot 2022 that I believe was started by Simon at the Hermit's Cave. I'm pretty sure it was Simon. It was Simon. I don't know why I've literally just double checked and looked at his video and seen all his questions and everything. So I'm pretty sure it was Simon, my dear friend, that started this way back when. Hang on, when was it? August 4th. So it's taken me 4 months to get around to doing this, but better late than never, and I'm just squeaking in the last month of 2022, so it's still relevant, it still counts. I don't know if anyone is watching these VRs, hashtag VRs to this prompt anymore, but I wanted to give it a go, and I think I kept putting it off because for a number of reasons, one of which was for some reason I had it in my head that I would have to pull out loads and loads of decks, but actually I didn't, so I don't know. Anyway, and I am just going to jump straight in because I have a tendency to just waffle on and do too much preamble. So we're just going to jump in. So the first question is, what was your first deck? Or which was your first deck? And you would have just seen me talking, if you've seen my previous video, you would have seen me talking about this, and it is the Osho Zen Tarot. I bought this back in 96, 97, somewhere around then. 25, 26 years ago, about that time, yeah. And I've trimmed mine a few years ago, took off the keywords because there was some that I absolutely hated but had never thought of trimming them until I saw people starting to mod their decks, or that people did mod their decks. I don't read with it anywhere near as much as I used to, but this was the deck that started it all off, and it was the nicest deck that I could find out, the one that appealed to me most when I was looking in the ring binder at the shop, of the examples of the cards they had. I didn't get to see all of the cards before buying it. YouTube didn't even exist at the time, but yeah, so I'm going really quickly and not like, I love this one. This one's called Letting Go. I still remember the keywords. This is letting go. The keyword for this is exhaustion. So yeah, creativity, I believe, is the keyword for that one. So yeah, I can remember a lot of the keywords. Isolation is the keyword for this one. Yeah, this was one of the cards that I found the keyword was problematic. It's the Two of Swords, or the Two of Clouds, and the keyword was schizophrenia, and I thought that was really inappropriate, so I trimmed that off. But obviously I still remember it. Or maybe this was creativity. I can't remember now. I'm starting to forget, but it'll be in the book, I believe. Rebel was this one, I believe. So yeah, this is the Five of Pentacles, Five of Rainbows. So yeah, that was my first ever tarot deck. My most recent tarot deck purchase is the deck I bought myself for October as a little gift. And it's the Shadowlands Tarot by Monica Badarsky. Obviously this came out a couple of years ago and I really held off on it. And I wasn't sure about it, but I heard people really raving. I mean, the artwork I love, like just absolutely love the artwork. But I wasn't sure if so I could just hear Nomi just faffing out the alley. You're right, boo boo. You okay? And I just was like, do I need another deck? And for some reason I thought the cardstock was glossy and I don't know. Anyway, I was like, I don't need it, and I wasn't really buying decks at the time. So, but I finally caved. I kept hearing people talk about how amazing it is, and they were right. I'm loving it. I love it. I really want the Lenormand now, the Shadowland Lenormand, because I read Lenormand and I love the artwork. I used to tell myself I didn't need the Shadowland Lenormand because I have the Monster Lenormand and it has a similar vibe in the artwork style, but actually the power of and. This guy looks like the Trogdolites from Disenchantment, you know, the cartoon. But yeah, I love it. And the other part of the second part of the question is, how has your taste changed? My taste has changed in the sense that, well, actually, back in the day, there wasn't nearly as much available, and I could only get what was available in a shop whenever I went into it. So I didn't really know what my taste was, I don't know if this was a new deck that came out now, would I buy it? I don't know if I would, to be honest with you. It's very, it's very of its time. It was created in the 80s. The artwork is very of its time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I love a bit of nostalgia and stuff like that. Like the queer tarot has a very sort of 90s vibe to it, and it really reminds me of my teenage years, and that, that's a nostalgia thing as well. So, but I would just say that I don't know if my taste has changed. I've always liked dark and spooky stuff. I've always liked cute, creepy stuff. I've always liked weird, lowbrow, pop surrealist artwork. I've always, and there just so happens to be tarot decks that cover all those sorts of bases. So I would say that my collection is very diverse. I'd say the one thing where my taste has changed, though, which was a major, major change and really revolutionised the way that I read, and that is Marseille decks. I used to think they were fuck ugly, and I was like, I will never read with Marseille, they are disgusting. What is wrong with you all? And now I'm like, I love them so much. Even like kind of ugly looking ones, I'm like, they're so ugly pretty, because I love me some ugly pretty. Ugly pretty is like, I'm drawn to the beautifully disturbing and the wonky appealing, so I don't know why they just didn't appeal to me back then. And also I just thought that reading with pip decks sounded really, really difficult, but actually for me it's easier, weirdly. Once you learn like just a few of the basics, it's really liberating. So anyway, that's enough waffle on the first bloody question. Question 2. That was question 2. What was your second deck, your latest deck? I did them all as if they were one question. They're not. Fuck me. 3. Why tarot? Well, of course, me being a dick, I'll be like, well, why not tarot? That's the sarky answer. But really, the reason why tarot, I don't know. It's just been a part of my life for a very, very long time. On and off, but I've used it more for longer than I haven't used it. It's always been there. Even when I wasn't using it, it was there in the house, and why not? It's magical, it's mystical, it's versatile, it's fun, it's something you can really dig into. You're constantly learning new things with the tarot, whether it's with decks that have been around for decades or even centuries, or with new decks, people putting new spins on decks, or it's just it's fascinating. And it's the most important thing, it's useful. It is useful. If I didn't find tarot useful, I wouldn't use it. But it's useful. It's useful and it's interesting. I remember back like 10, 11, 12 years ago, there was this whole thing like with social media and Twitter really taking off. And I remember a friend of mine, she was a blogger and quite a prolific tweeter. And she used to run these like business seminars, and she'd say like the rules, one of the rules of social media is be either interesting or useful, educating. And tarot is both of those things. So that is why tarot. Question 4, I'm looking down because I've got the questions on a piece of paper. Question 4, tarot pet peeves. So I thought first I will cover just tarot, like the production of tarot itself, and then I'd go on to like tarot tube. So like just general like tarot pet peeves with regards to publishers, I would say publishers some publishers still not, the bigger names really addressing diversity and inclusion. I think the tide is starting to change, but we've still got a ways to go. I dislike large wasteful boxes. I dislike really shiny glossy cardstock. Why? It's 2023 almost. Surely you know that sticky glossy cardstock. On the flip side of that, cardstock that is too thick and too matte and sticks to itself because it's too matte. Basically, I want to be able to actually shuffle my cards, I want to be able to shuffle my deck, please refer to the previous answer, which is it's useful, but it's not fucking useful if I can't use the deck. Like, I can't, it's raison d'être is to be used, and if they're making it difficult because of the card stock, that drives me bananas. Oh, another one, I've just thought of one. You know, like when there's a creator of a deck, I don't mean to, does that sounds arsey, I don't mean like a creator and then an illustrator. But I don't know, I use bunny rabbit ears even when I quote unquote, when I don't even mean to, like when it's not relevant. I don't know, it's a really bad habit that really gets on my own tits. It probably gets on other people's as well. But when you've got a creator and an artist, this is more of a thing to do with large publishers, right? You know, like Llewellyn, looking at you, for example, where you get the box and it's all the person who's wrote the book. And can you find, well, there's other creators that do as well, can you find the artist's fucking name on the deck? Excuse me, hello. I don't mean to be rude. Writing a book is probably a lot of work, but creating 78 cards, especially if it's like digital artwork, is obviously difficult as well. But let's not pretend that analog artwork doesn't take longer, because it does, because it's analog. If you fuck up, you can't digitally erase it. You have to physically fix or restart again. I know that because I'm an analog artist. And they've created 78 cards, and what their name, or if it's on there, it's like you have to really fucking look for it. I'm like getting my magnifying glass out. I'm like, excuse me. And as someone who is an artist and appreciates art and loves art, I'm like, but please give these artists their due and put their bastard name on it, not their you know what I mean. And then like tarot tube pet peeves, I don't know. For the most part, it's fine. I would say the like weird back and forth about between people saying you know, if you have loads of decks you've got an issue, and loads of people saying if you don't, like there's this weird thing about people putting their own stuff on other people that have loads of decks or that collect decks, and there's a bit of back and forth between there, and I'm just like, oh, just like, guys, just let people just, you know, obviously for some people too many decks is overwhelming and it's a problem, or it might be an indicator of something, and for other people they just like to collect decks and it's not an issue. So like, can we not lump everyone together? Like just mind your own beeswax, I think is the thing. If someone's opening up about their issues around tarot consumerism, you know, first of all, be kind. Second of all, like, that doesn't mean that's the case for everyone that buys loads of decks. And, you know, if someone only has 3 decks and they're happy with that, then, yeah, don't be a dick to them about that either. Like, just don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. That's all. And the other thing is, like, when randos like complain about your content, they're like, I don't like the way that, I think this is just a YouTube problem or an internet problem, but YouTube because it's regarding videos, and they're like, I don't like the way that you speak, or I don't like that you swear, or I don't like that you speak too quickly, or I don't like that you get distracted, or maybe you should da-da-da-da, or you should have da-da-da-da. And it's like, bitch, you are watching a free video that I took my time to make. If you're gonna like just start being an arse in my comments and making demands of me when you've just watched free content, I think you need to, yeah, you need to just go bye-bye, go away, go away, go away. I don't care if I speak too quickly, go watch someone else. If I swear too much for you, go watch someone else. If you don't think I understand a certain thing about an esoteric concept, or a certain thing about an artwork in a tarot card, like if you want to like tell me about it in a non-dickish way, fine, but don't be all like, no, you don't understand because you just don't, like, just go away. I'm too old for this shit. What is this, like fucking secondary school? I just know. It's just the gall of people to make demands or to insult you when you've like, they've literally, and then they hate watch. I know I talked about this in a recent video as well for the Pagan November, but I just find it so bizarre. Hate watch, dislike, and then send a mean comment. And it's like, well, you just sat through it all and like engage with my content, so more fool you, I guess, but like have it. But you know, it doesn't, well, it depends. It seems to go through phases where I won't have anything for ages and then there'll be like a barrage of it, and I'm like, okay. Okay, so 5, favourite tarot spread. I'm just moving on, I'm just got to move on. Fave tarot spread. Freestyle. I don't have a fave tarot spread. When I used to read with this guy, I used to use my favourite card, my favourite spread from that book, the guidebook, was the key spread. I used to use that a lot. I've never really got on with the Celtic Cross, which I know is in like every fucking book ever. Hashtag yawn. And I know loads of people love that or do their own spin on it, but I don't know. I've never really got the Celtic Cross. I don't know. I did a lot of like Kelly Fitz of Truth in Stories, like the As Above So Below, Past, Present, Future, and then all the elements. I used to do that quite a lot. But I mean, really, the last 4 years, it's freestyle, baby. And usually if I'm doing like a one row, it will be like between 3 and 5 cards, but usually it's in multiples of 3. So I'll do 3, 6, 9. Oh, I am lying. I'm fucking lying, because do you know what I was using so much earlier this year, not so much recently, and I've just reminded myself that it exists. It's because I forget things are a thing, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that. Is the Tirage en Croix. I really enjoy that. Marilyn of Tarot Clarity uses that quite a bit. Really, Marilyn Tarot Clarity. I always want to call her Marilyn in the City, which is not her channel name, but she's great. Go check her out. This is going great. Yeah, the Tirage en Croix, and actually there is a little bit of a little extra thing that Serge Pirotte has put, that if you go to his website, I will try to remember his blog, try and remember to link it down below, but he did like a thing where you get some extra cards, and Marilyn also like adds up the cards, which I think was a thing that, who was it that started? Oh my god, the drilling is driving me crazy. But yeah, you can do just a Tirage en Croix, you can do a Tirage en Croix and then add up to like distill the cards, and then there's also Serge Pirotte does, or Pirotte does like a little extra couple of 1 or 2 cards, which I find really cool, really useful, and I often will pull those as well. So yeah, I'll try to remember to link to his blog post about that. Tirage en Croix. 6, preferred system. Marseille, I love Smithwaite. It's what this is definitely Smithwaite based. Now that I understand Smithwaite, I can see all the Smithwaite undertones in this, and I do read with Smithwaite inspired decks still, but my favorite system to use, and I do read Marseille and Pip decks a bit differently to Rider-Waite-Smith, and sometimes there's a little bit of crossover, but I do they're kind of separate in my brain. I just like the simplicity of it, and I'm really into the sort of the freestyle reading. It's very it's interesting because it's intuitive, but it also relies on you knowing about the elements and astrology elements and numerology and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say my favorite is Marseille. Okay, 7, tarot rituals. Do you have any tarot rituals? It varies. I go through phases of doing daily draws, and then I'll go through phases of weekly spreads and phases of monthly spreads and blah blah blah. But with regards to rituals around the readings, I would say it depends on what the reading's for. So if I'm doing a full moon reading, for example, and especially if I am doing stuff at my altar, then there's going to be a lot more bells and whistles. The incense is going, the candles are going, the plinky plonky music is going. We've got the tarot spread cloth. We've got, it's all everything's very nice. Or if I'm going to do a big reading here at my table, it all, it's all set up. This is no longer a work desk. It becomes a tarot reading table. And I've got a 1.5 meter desk, so I can like really get a lot of cards out on here. But there are other times where I will just, chuck them down on the bed, chuck them down on the kitchen table. There's, without any spread or cloth or anything, I'm just chucking it down without any, I'm just like boom, 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 So it really depends, but I do, if I am going to do a bigger reading, I do make sure that I'm doing a little bit of breath work, meditation, anointing oil. I've got candles, I've got incense, I've got music, or more often than not, it will have to be instrumental music if I'm listening to music, because it will distract me otherwise with the lyrics. Or my favourite is actually white noise, so I listen to a lot of rain sounds and like thunderstorms and rain with a crackling fire, that kind of stuff, and that's how I like set the mood and calm myself. And when I do all of that, I know my head, I get into a certain headspace, and I know, right, you know, I'm sinking into a certain, and it's because I'm usually doing a bigger or more important spread. Whereas if I'm just pulling 3 cards because I just want to pull 3 cards on something quickly, there's also, I don't want to have to, then it becomes a barrier, right? Because I'm like, oh god, I want to ask this quick thing, or to just contemplate this quick thing, and I'm like, well, getting all this stuff out, like that becomes a barrier. And a bit like when I talked about my tarot journal in the past, I just stopped worrying about it being really pretty and just getting it down out of my brain and onto the paper, like just get out. Okay, question 8. How do you use tarot? Introspection, divination, yes and yes. I use it for, you know, divination, fortune telling. I use it for introspection and digging out the sort of the stuff within my psyche or within my subconscious. I use it for path working. I use it for meditation. I use it for spell work. I use it for creative prompts. I use it for journaling. Like, just, that's what I mean. It's so versatile and it's so useful, which goes back to the previous question, question 3. Why tarot? Because it can be used for so many things, and it's also just pretty to look at, right? It's just nice to look at. Question 9. Your significator card, and why is this, like, why does it represent you? Okay, I've spoken about this loads before in videos that, in tags that ask this, but for me, I feel like I'm eternally the Page of Wands, potentially also the Page of Swords, in the sense that I have a lot of passion and I have a lot of ideas. So maybe I'm reading it wrong and I should be, you know, the Page of Swords. I feel like I'm always starting over again, including with like my shop, because I keep getting thrown curveballs. But you know, I have a squirrel brain and I always want to do all the things, and then I get overwhelmed and then I get bored, or you know what I mean. So I feel like I'm always this excited, oh my god, I want to try that, oh I want to try that, but I never progress. What I want to be is the Queen of Wands. That's who I want to be. She's got her shit together, you know, she is in control of her creativity and her passions. She has harnessed them to create the life that she wants, the work that she wants. You know, that's who I would love to be one day, but I am not. I am I am the Page. But one can always aspire. Question 10. Most expensive tarot acquisition. I don't know. I don't know. Of the decks that I own, I mean, it's difficult right now because the price of indie decks is going up and up and up, and then so is the price of shipping, and so are the taxes. So if I was to buy, you know, a Studio Usi tarot, for example, now, I wouldn't be able, like, it would be so expensive. Well, that's why I didn't buy the Tarot Erotique last year when they re-released it, when they did another printing of it, because it would just cost me crazy pants money, and I was just like, I just can't justify that right now. So I think the most expensive in relative to would be the Tarot of Prague, which was bought for me by my husband. So I didn't purchase it. I think I would have been a little bit sick if I had bought this. I don't mean I would be sick in that, I mean like I would have felt sick to my stomach if I had tried to drop my own money on this, because I don't earn a huge amount even at the time when I got this. But it's a beautiful deck. Oh, it's got the cold foil stamping in gold and silver and copper. It features the beautiful architecture of Prague and the artwork, and oh, it is such a stunning deck. I love that it's got the playing card inserts at the corners for the number and the suit. Really, really, you've got a couple of death cards. You've got alternate death cards. Where's the one that I really like? Hang on, I've got to find this. So funny. I don't know why. I just find it really, really funny. But I can't find it now. But there's this one card that most people, or am I thinking I might be thinking of the Bohemian Gothic now that I'm thinking about it. But there's an alternative. Is it an alternative death card or a devil card? Of course, I can't find it now. Oh, anyway, I can't find it. But I really like. Look at this, the way we've got these like old school playing card type characters that are like inserted in. Can you see that the rods are like copper stamped, cold stamped? Oh, I love it. I love it. So yeah, I don't even know how much this was. Yeah, it was a lot with shipping and everything. And this was when they were still in Prague. It's before they moved to Ireland. And the customs charge on it. It was probably over £100. Just, it's so pretty. Yeah, I think it must be this one, although I could be wrong. I really could be wrong. And then the card, my most expensive deck that I think that I own at the moment, which would be goes for a lot of money if you sell it. Again, I think it would be the Canon Reed the Canon Reed Witches Tarot. Which is out of print. I've seen this go for silly money. I've had people tell me they'd take it off my hands, but I'm like, nope, I want to keep, because it's very sentimental to me. It was the second deck that I ever bought, and it does remind me of a certain time in my life, so I'm hanging on to it in the back. So simple but so witchy. Okay, 11, unicorn deck. Like, there was that deck that is out of your reach. Oh my god, I am going to be such a cliche because so many people have said this, but I really do think it is Robert M. Place's Vampire Tarot. I want it. I wish they would do a reprinting, because I know that they've done reprinting of the Buddha Tarot, and he's done newer versions of his Alchemical Tarot and Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery. I'd really, really love to see that. And do we need to tell them how to make money? Like, seriously, so many people are like desperate for that deck. They would easily sell a buttload of them. Like, come on folks, give us what we want. Yeah, that's my unicorn deck. I also would really like the Tower of Musterberg, because it is just a deck of redheads, and I'm a natural redhead. I want to see more ginge. I want to see more ginge in my decks, because we make up less than 4% of the entire planet's population, and it's a recessive gene, so, you know. 12. The most important lesson that tarot has taught you. The first one is, you'll never know everything about tarot. That's the thing that tarot has taught me about tarot. There is always new stuff to learn, which I think is awesome. But what tarot has actually taught me about life or myself, I would say that the answer is always there. Using the tarot, there's always, whether it is coming from your subconscious, whether it is messages from your spirit allies, whether it's from, you know, the greater cosmos, whatever it is, there's the answer will usually come. You know, if you ask it, if you build it, he will come. If you ask it, the answer will come. I don't know. It's really great at like breaking things down and, you know, working things out, working through things, working through your thoughts and your feelings. It's really, and it's also taught me that you know, it's a tool and it can be used in so many different ways, and I think that's awesome. And question 13, the final question is, you know, if you could have some dinner guests, your sort of fantasy dinner, and one guest of honor and then 2 other guests. I mean, I if I was going to be really predictable, because I've answered it before, this question, I would say Pixie Coleman Smith, but I was like, no, I'm going to change up my answer, because I'm going to pretend that dinner party where I had invited, I think it was Pixie Coleman Smith, Lady Frida Harris, and I can't remember who else it was, dinner party. I'm going to assume I have that dinner party, so I'm going to have different guests to this fantasy dinner party. So I would actually pick as my guest of honor Camellia Elias, because she's still with us and she's funny and she's interesting, but specifically because the next two guests, the other two guests, I think it would just be a really fucking interesting conversation, and I would want to pick Antoine Court de Gabelin, who seemed to kick off this whole tarot is esoteric and magical type thing. He can also maybe be blamed for starting off the whole looking down on cartomancy as fortune telling, it particularly, but that's why it'd be interesting. And then the other guest would be Austin Osman Spare. Oh my goodness, I wish I could get a copy of the deck that they're making. They're recreating his deck. Yeah, I just think Camellia Elias with these two guys from back in the day. I mean, de Gabelin was like the late 1700s, and then Osman Spare the early sort of 20th century. I just think it would be a really interesting conversation, especially given the way that Camellia Elias reads tarot. I just think, yeah, it would be cool. So that's my answers. Wow, okay, so just over half an hour. That's really good for me. Holy crap balls. So yeah, that is all about Tarot 2022. Are we going to be doing all about Tarot 2023? Simon, if you're watching this, are we going to answer the questions next year, or are we going to have like a new set of questions? I don't know. If you thought about that, I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have watched this, whatever this is, oh, it's exactly 1 o'clock. Perfect. Lunchtime. I'm going to go make myself some tasty noodles. Yum yum. Send nudes. Love noodles, but you don't, that's not important. Thank you so much if you have watched this. I am very grateful to you for spending time to listen to me ramble. And yeah, I'm gonna go make some food, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Ciao.